Today, I want to talk with you about those types of clutter that are just a little bit more difficult to deal with. Some of the things that most of us have in our home that we just don't know what to do with them or how to actually get rid of them. So today I'll be sharing some decluttering tips with you that will help you to simplify your space and actually get a lot of decluttering done. I want to make this video very helpful for everyone who's watching, no matter where you are in your decluttering process. So I'll be sharing a beginner tip and a pro tip for each of these 10 categories of clutter. I recently shared another video like this that you really seem to like, and we talked about sentimental clutter, fantasy self items, gift items, expensive items, etc. So I will leave that video in the description box below if you haven't seen it yet, so you can get some more decluttering inspiration. And today's video has a sponsor, so a really big thanks to Function of Beauty for partnering up with me and supporting this channel. We'll chat more about them later. Let's talk first about books, and this is one of the questions I actually get the most on this channel when it comes to decluttering. And of course you can have a big book collection if you are a minimalist, but I also think that most people have some books at least that they will most likely never read again. So it could be good to go through it so you can get more joy from your collection. Beginner tip is to start making two piles. One pile for books you've read, the second pile for books you haven't read yet. Then take that pile of books you haven't read yet and divide that up into two piles again. First pile is for books you're still excited about reading, and the second pile is for the books you just don't feel that excited about. And then I would recommend donating that last pile. And this doesn't mean that you have failed, there's nothing wrong with it, but it's just a waste to keep them around and have them take up space and perhaps even make you feel guilty for not reading them when you just honestly don't feel that excited about them. After doing this, the pro tip is then to do the same thing with the books you have already read. So really be honest with yourself. How likely is it that you will read them again, or actually keep them around and look through them again? And keep those ones and then donate the rest. And then it's time to organize them. And what you can do is put back all of the books that you have already read, but then keep a separate shelf or a separate space for the books that you haven't read yet, and perhaps even put them in order of when you want to read them, so that it'll actually be easy for you to read them and they won't be buried in all of the rest of the books. I think it's important to realize that books, no matter how great they are, they don't define you. And by getting rid of some books that you're not excited about or that you have already read, you're making space for new books to read. Next is another fun one, and that's the things that we keep in our home because we meant to fix them, but we never did. So maybe clothing with holes in them or things that have been damaged, etc. The beginner tip is to locate those items, collect them all in one space, and then fix the really easy ones. So quick wins, maybe something just needs a new battery or a new light bulb, maybe something needs some light stitching. Get that done and put those items back. The pro tip is then to ask yourself 3 questions for the items that are left. And the first is, do I already have the materials to fix this? Then how much time and energy and money will it cost me to fix this, and is that worth it? And then third, is this an item that I even still like, and will it actually get used? So just take a quick moment to ask yourself if it still makes sense to fix it, and if it does, then you can fix it. We have a lot more decluttering tips to go, but let's take a quick moment to thank today's sponsor, which is Function of Beauty. If you've been around for a while on this channel, you know that my hair used to look a little bit different, and I actually had kind of like a hair transformation thing happening at the start of this year after figuring out that I had wavy hair, and Function of Beauty has been a big part in that. They make custom hair care products, and I have been using them for a little over a year now, and my hair seems to do really well on them. I got a lot of questions from you all also about my hair care routine, and what I like is that they have many options for customization because of course everyone's hair is different. You can take their hair quiz online. I chose wavy hair with a core structure and balanced scalp, and then you can select your personal hair goals. And my hair is quite difficult to manage, so I chose deep condition, hydrate, replenish hair, anti-frizz, and curl definition. And you can customize further by choosing a fragrance. I chose mango this time, and the color, but you can also opt for fragrance-free, dye-free, or even silicone-free if you prefer. I also got their custom hair mask and feels very nice. It helps to give my hair the moisture that it needs. The products are vegan and cruelty-free, which is very important to me always. They contain no parabens, no sulfates, and they also just smell really nice. I personally only wash my hair about once a week, and even after a week, it still smells really nice and fresh. If you want to try them for yourself, it's now easier than ever because you can use my link in the description box to get your first custom formula for under $30 and free shipping. So really big thanks to Function of Beauty for supporting my channel and for taking care of my hair. Now let's get back to decluttering. Now let's talk about digital clutter, another one of those tricky things. It can be a little overwhelming, and it's one of the areas that a lot of people tend to procrastinate on. So what you need here is some kind of plan. You need a list. So the beginner tip is to make yourself a checklist with all the areas of digital clutter that are bothering you the most. And this can be photos on your phone or on your laptop, maybe your email inbox or apps on your phone, or files or digital administration. Make a list, and this can make it really visible to you to check off all of these areas one by one as you move through your checklist. The pro tip is then to set up some kind of system to keep things under control from now on. And here are some things I do. Every 2-3 days, I will grab my phone and I'll quickly delete all of the new files and photos that I got over the last couple of days that I don't want to keep anymore. I also have an album on my phone for all the temporary files. So everything I only want to keep temporarily. And then every once in a while, I'll go through it and delete everything that is no longer relevant. And third, I sort all of my photos that I take on my phone into albums immediately after taking them. So they're already sorted and organized in a way that makes sense to me, and I don't have to actually go through them again later. Another type of clutter I often get questions about is hobby and craft items. So the beginner tip is to get rid of everything that is no longer in good condition or that you already know for sure you just don't really enjoy using. So maybe dried out markers or supplies that you just don't really know what to do with or you just don't like using. Supplies that are still in good condition can be either sold or donated, and the broken ones, maybe you can recycle them somewhere in your area. And the pro tip is to go a step further, collect everything in one place and really ask yourself honestly which ones you still enjoy using. And the trick here is to not feel guilty about fancy supplies that you haven't tried out yet or projects that you haven't finished yet. Just really be honest and either start using them or accept that they are just not something that you are naturally drawn towards. Crafting things and working on creative projects is supposed to be fun. You're supposed to be enjoying it. And if something is not doing that for you, just be honest and see if you can give it away to someone else who actually can get a lot of joy from it. Also, let's talk about entertainment. You might have still some old CDs, DVDs, things like that, and they are tricky to get rid of because to us they still have a lot of value, but with everything being online, they're quickly becoming obsolete and it could be a little harder to give them a second life somewhere else. If you do decide that you want to get rid of them, then my tip is to see if you can sell your whole collection in one go to like a second-hand shop somewhere. This is what we did about 2-3 years ago, I think, with our CD collection, and we hardly got any money back for it because it's just not worth a lot anymore. But at least we got them out of the house and the shop can sell them, so there's a chance that they'll get a second life. Or maybe you can sell them online, which is what I often do with video games. If you can't sell them, perhaps you know someone who could enjoy them. For example, with our DVDs, I had a lot of Disney stuff and I gave them away to someone who had kids and didn't have access to a streaming service. So see if you can find someone like that. And a pro tip, if you cannot sell them to a shop or give them away to someone you know, then see if you can donate them. And if that is also not possible, then maybe you could see if they could be recycled somewhere in your area. Another category of clutter that many of us deal with is our jewelry collection. And I have actually done a few decluttering rounds here because there were a few pieces that I couldn't say goodbye to the first or second time around. So remember that it is okay to see this as more of like an ongoing process. So beginner tip, again, let's get some quick wins in and get rid of everything that is either not in a good condition anymore, or that turns your skin green, or that has discolored, or it's just clearly not your style anymore. The pro tip is to give yourself a physical boundary, and this is what I did. This is my jewelry box, and whatever can fit into this box can be in my collection, and that's it. I find that since I downsized and kept only my absolute favorite pieces, I really enjoy my jewelry so much more. So give yourself the gift of having something beautiful to store your jewelry in, and then having that be the amount of jewelry that you can own. Any furniture items that you no longer need or love, then the beginner tip is to donate or sell these. I personally always like to donate them to Goodwill, but of course, selling them on some kind of online marketplace, for example, also works great. The pro tip, if you have any damaged pieces, see if you can upcycle them in some way, or if you no longer like the look of a certain furniture item, see if you can give it a makeover. This is what we did actually with our bedroom closet a couple weeks ago. We gave it a complete makeover with some contact paper, and everything just looks a lot brighter and lighter now, so I'm really happy, and we didn't have to get a new one. I'm actually in the process of doing kind of like an apartment makeover, and it's been a lot of fun. I share the whole process with my patrons, and I'm getting ready to share the finished look, I think probably sometime next week on Patreon. So if you want to see more, then feel free to join us, patreon.com/simplehappyzen. Now let's talk about bargain clutter, by which I mean things you got on sale or you got a good deal on, or even maybe you got them for free, kind of like a goodie bag situation, something like that. Beginner tip is to locate these items, and if they are still in good condition or they might even be unused, then see if you can give them away to someone else. For example, if I had a skincare product that is still good but it's just not for my skin type, then I would see if I know someone else who has that skin type and who could enjoy using it. The pro tip is more like a shift in how we consume things, and the tip here is to only buy things on sale or like 2-for-1 deals, things like that, if it is a product that you've already used before and you know for sure that you will keep using it in the future, because otherwise it is very likely that you will end up with more bargain clutter, and if you're buying something you don't need, it's not saving anything. Let's also talk about beauty items. One of my favorite things to declutter actually. It's a lot of fun, very satisfying, and the beginner tip is to get rid of everything that is old, expired, gross, or just things you stopped using. Then give your cabinets a nice clean and put everything back in a way that makes sense. The pro tip is to take the items that are left over and kind of reevaluate them. Are you still enjoying using them? Are they still you? So for example, I used to have at least 10-15 lipsticks with a matching lip liner for each of them, and when I really thought about it, I was more a type of person who enjoys wearing lip balm and maybe one like neutral lipstick for when I want to feel extra fancy. So I'm just not the type of person who wears a different lipstick every day. If you have these items that are just not you anymore, then feel free to let them go, because you will enjoy the items that you do keep a lot more. Lastly, let's also talk about electronics and old appliances. So the beginner tip is to collect them all, everything that you are no longer using, and get rid of the easy ones like cables. If you don't know what they're for, it's very unlikely that you will need them going forward. Also, like old USBs, maybe a good idea to check what's on there before you get rid of them. Or old remote controls that you're not using, and bring them to your local recycling place. Remember to check if they still have a battery in them, because those need to be recycled separately. And then the pro tip is to locate those electronics and appliances that you just don't use that frequently. For example, we got rid of a juicer a couple of years ago because it was taking up a lot of space and we were only using it like once every couple of months. So it just was not worth keeping it around anymore. So see if you have items like that and if they can make someone else happy. If you want more decluttering tips, I have 10 more categories for you right there. Right there is a video with habits that made me better at minimalism. Check out Function of Beauty, link in the description. And as always, questions, comments, conversations down below. Have a lovely day and I'll see you again next week. Bye bye, my friends.